I'd like to call the village board meeting for Tuesday, January 16th, 2018 to order with roll call, please.
Betts.
Here.
Kostler.
Here.
Cavelli.
Here.
Kraus.
Here.
Kalpine.
Here.
Weinhammer.
Here.
Thank you. Would you join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I will now move to the public forum where the public is invited to make an issue-oriented comment on any matter of public concern not otherwise on the agenda. For the village board, I had one person sign in, Sharon Miller.
Good evening, Sharon Miller, 248 Bell Drive. I once again stand here before you as a concerned citizen. One of the great things about living in a democracy is the ability to elect our public officials with the sole purpose of serving our needs and meeting our goals. If we deem them to be falling short of our goals, we have the ability to remove them from office. And due to meetings such as this with a public forum, we are given the ability to make our opinions known, not only to other board members, but to the public in general. I have stood before you a couple of times expressing my concerns about the behavior of some of my elected officials, the lack of professionalism, name-calling, snide comments, etc. I have asked that all of you behave in a professional manner as you are representing me, and you should strive towards my goal of making the village of Cary a wonderful place to live. Apparently, some of you have not been listening. At the last board meeting, there was a disagreement over an invoice to be paid. There was some discussion which quickly turned into plain rudeness. I was truly disgusted by the complete lack of professional behavior I witnessed during that meeting. So much so that I turned to what is to be the sounding board of our generation, Facebook. Mr. Kostler, I directed my comments towards you. I expressed my anger at your behavior and your lack of professionalism. I stated that if one asks a question, one should wait for the answer. Mr. Kostler, you responded, and I quote, "Strange comments by Sharon Miller. Since when is it okay to commit a felony? Since when is it okay to violate confidentiality and attorney-client privilege? Personally, I feel okay interrupting people in these circumstances." I reminded you that the conversation was about paying an invoice. You responded, I quote, "If it was a felony committed by 2 board members." I again reminded you the topic was regarding an invoice. Your response, I quote, "I asked questions and interrupted because that is my duty to the people. Was a felony committed by the mayor and a trustee?" For a third time, I reminded Mr. Kostler that the topic being discussed was regarding the payment of an invoice. I do not remember the word felony being mentioned or violations of attorney-client privilege. I also stated that being one of those people you have a duty to serve, I expect you to perform your duties with dignity and respect, neither of which I witnessed. Mr. Kostler's response, I quote, "So you agree that felonies were committed? Doesn't matter if criminal behavior was on the agenda or not." I admit I got a little snarky at this point. I replied, "Perhaps you have as much difficulty reading as you do listening." Mr. Kostler then asked me to disclose the vote that appointed the mayor and trustee McAlpine as representatives of the village. Can you imagine my frustration and confusion at this point? My response, I quote, "I have proven my point. You are not in this to represent me. I pointed out that as one of the people you have a duty to serve, that I was disappointed in your behavior, and you ignore that and turn it around to your own agenda. You work for me, yet you ignore my concerns, you ignore me." Mr. Kostler's response to me, I quote, "Weak response. Your response dictates you support those who violate Illinois law. As that stands, I would never support you or your efforts. I cannot imagine supporting felony actions." A few comments later in the thread, Mr. Kostler says, and I quote, "I feel that calling fellow board members out for felonious activities is totally appropriate. I would hope that you would thank me for my actions. Nevertheless, I have yet to hear of any complaints about my behavior." I suggest that he reread my original post. The conversation goes on from there, but I'll stop. Now imagine my surprise when 2 days later the entire thread was deleted. Only myself or the admin of the page can delete it, and it wasn't me. I cannot help but wonder Who contacted the admin and asked for this post to be deleted and under what grounds? Mr. Kostler, I publicly called you out for what I deemed to be unprofessional behavior, and you responded by suggesting 2 board members have committed felonies. Then you publicly attack me, accusing me of supporting felonious activities. And then the entire public thread is deleted, although nothing is truly deleted off the internet, is it? You might be asking, why am I bringing this up? This conversation happened last month. Why rehash it? Because the village board is supposed to work together to continue to make my village a wonderful place to live, raise a family, and to grow old in. I don't expect everyone to agree on every topic, but I do expect differences to be discussed in an adult manner. I expect professional behavior. You work for me. You work for my husband. You work for my children. You work for the citizens of Cary. You do not work for your own agenda, your own anger, or your own hatred. Please try to remember that. Thank you.
Is there anybody else who would like to address the village board? Okay, we'll go ahead and close open forum. I have nothing on my mayor's report tonight. I will entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda items number 1 through 4.
So moved. Second.
Roll call, please.
Betts,
Yes.
Kostler,
Yes.
Cavelli,
Yes.
Kraus,
Yes.
McAlpine.
Yes.
Weinhammer.
Yes.
Thank you. I will entertain a motion to approve an ordinance amending Title 10, Vehicles and Traffic, Chapter 10.32, dash parking.
So moved. Second.
Included in the packet was the parking ordinance, and in that parking ordinance, there's language in there that amends certain portions of that. If there's a strikeout, that means that text was deleted. If there's an underline, that's new text. I thought it was the best way to do that so that you could see what changed and what didn't. And the purpose of this change, which has been discussed previously, was to address certain things like current practices. We would grant parking permission, and we really didn't have authority to do that as the police department. We would post temporary no parking signs, and now that will be enforceable. We produced a exemption to the overnight parking prohibition, where there's a process to submit for such a permit. There's criteria, and then there's an approval process. Generally, that approval process involves either myself or the Director of Public Works or our designees. We cleaned up some of the language in the parking ordinance as it relates to street names. Current areas that were posted as no parking but didn't have an ordinance that supported those. And we also addressed the parking prohibition during snowfalls and made it not necessarily just after, but during and after if we anticipate a large snowfall, so we could, on the police side, make sure that there's no parking on the streets. And that applies to people that have those exemption permits. The things that we did change in here were some of the items that were brought up during our discussion at the Committee of the Whole, one of which was on Prairie Street. It is now restricted from Prairie Street, both sides from Krenz Avenue south to 160 feet south of Krenz. There are driveways there, so you can't park in front of a driveway, so that should take care of that issue. And then there are, based on certain criteria that Director Morimoto identified related to the width of roadways, we've restricted parking on one side of those roadways. And one that was taken out because there's no side curbs on those roadways right now is Burton. So we removed that until that gets curbed, and then we'll readdress that later, because current practice is that people there park up onto the shoulder of the road off the roadway. I believe that and the other thing is, you'll find as an exhibit to the amended ordinance, a form that we developed that allows someone to submit for an exception to the overnight parking prohibition during the winter months, and a process of approval, and then we'll grant those permits based on the criteria that we've developed here. So I'll turn this over to Director Morimoto for further information.
Thanks, Chief. And one additional change that we had proposed for your consideration since the committee of the whole was a minor one here, right by Village Hall at the corner of Briargate and Tiger Trail. We're suggesting that we also add a small length of restricted parking on the east side of Briargate, which tends to be inhabited, particularly during drop-off and pickup for the school, but also just in order to keep that area clear for emergency vehicles, and particularly police, since the police department is here and exiting to the rest of the village. If cars are stopped at the stop sign and emergency vehicles are exiting the area, the vicinity there, having that first 60 feet or so from the intersection will keep that clearer for the squad cars to get out safely.
Let's take Tiger Trail now.
Director Morimoto, can we go back to the Prairie parking situation? I know that there was some discussion previously at our committee. Trustee Kraus and Trustee Weinhammer, I think, had discussed this. Does this meet and what you were looking for as far as the changes to Prairie? And we could walk through it if you have questions about this.
I think so. It's no parking 160 feet north from the driveways.
160 feet south from Friends, because your face,
Right.
the top is north.
So
It's on both sides, and it's the same restriction. It's the same restriction that there was in place in regards to the restrictions that were previously in place.
with the exception that the southern portion, where the road gets a little bit wider, that's where we would still allow parking during
Correct,
those
yeah.
months of May through August.
There's a variety of restrictions too that are within this ordinance. We talked about it here previously, as you know, at the last committee meeting. We haven't sent out formal mailers to all the residents here. There's a lot of territory that we'd have to cover. I'm sure that we'll get a few questions about some of the changes, and that's fine. That's what staff is here to answer, those questions that residents may have.
I have a question regarding the permit. Is that only, is that permit specific just to people who receive like the medical care?
There's two criteria. One is for medical caregivers, and it used to be just doctors that had an exemption. Now it's LPNs, RNs, and other certified caregivers. And then also emergency vehicles that are owned by a governmental agency, because sometimes our fire protection district personnel will bring their units home, and instead of burying it on the driveway, we allow them with a permit to park on that street.
So are those the only two exemptions you
Correct.
allow for during those months then?
Correct. Now, found within the ordinance, there's also 4 times during the year that someone can call in during that time period. They can use that software package called Frontline to submit that request for approval.
Okay.
I have a question regarding the no parking. When you've mentioned that you can't park in front of a driveway, can a resident park in front of their own driveway?
Technically, no. The Illinois Vehicle Code prohibits parking in front of the driveway. But I don't think anyone's ever, I think that's where discretion is used, as it relates to some people park there so that the ball doesn't roll into the street and things of that nature. Those type of violations and violations related to blocking the sidewalk, we generally respond to when we get a complaint about that. But it's generally related to people that are blocking somebody's driveway that doesn't own the driveway, because sometimes when you have your driveway resurfaced, some people will park in front of it as well.
Okay. Any other feedback?
He's did a great job.
Okay, roll call, please.
Counselor,
Yes.
Cavelli,
Yes.
Kraus,
Yes.
Weinhammer,
Yes.
McAlpine,
Yes.
Betts.
Yes.
Thank you. I will entertain a motion to approve the warrant dated January 16th, 2018.
So moved.
Second.
I will add too, the warrant includes the $2,900 payment that we had discussed at the last meeting here. To
Yeah,
Hansel Glenn.
I'd like
I'm sorry.
to move to separate that out into a separate vote.
Can we do that, Julie?
Yeah, he can-
Remove that?
yeah, if it passes, then it would be removed out. It's not consent,
Okay.
so it would be like basically an amendment to the initial approval, so it would require motion and a second.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion to remove the
I
2,900.
think
Joe?
Need a second?
I'll second it.
Okay. So I would need a roll call on that motion,
on the amendment.
on the amendment.
Cavelli,
Yes.
Kraus,
Just for clarification, are we voting on paying the separate bill, or are we voting on the warrant and then we vote out separately on the other one?
Yes.
How I'm interpreting is we're voting on the warrant and then we'll vote on the 2,900
Okay, yes.
separately.
Wait a minute, I thought we were voting on the
Just to remove,
amended
just to
motion.
remove, just to remove the 2,900
Yes.
right now.
This is on
okay.
the amended motion.
Yes.
McAlpine,
Yes.
Weinhammer,
Yes.
Betts,
Yes.
Costello.
Yes.
Okay, now, as the warrant to the,
So it would be a motion
To
to approve
approve
as amended.
amendment.
okay,
Yeah.
motion to approve as amended.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call?
So this is on the original warrant.
Yes,
Okay.
correct.
Without the 2,900.
Without the 2,900.
Kraus,
Yes.
McAlpine,
Yes.
Weinhammer,
Without the 2,900, meaning that everything except for the legal bill would be,
Correct.
Right, and then
yes.
Betts,
Yes.
Costello,
Yes.
Cavelli.
Yes.
and now that leaves the 2,900.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to approve the $2,900.
So moved. Second.
Roll call, please.
McAlpine,
Yes.
Weinhammer,
This is just to approve only the 2,900?
Correct.
No.
Betts,
Yes.
Costello,
No.
Cavelli,
No.
Kraus.
Yes.
Mayor Koenig,
Yes. I will entertain a motion to approve the December 19th, 2017 Village Board meeting minutes.
So moved.
Second?
Any comments? Discussion? You ready?
Yep.
Roll call, please.
Weinhammer,
Yes.
Betts,
Yes.
Costello,
Yes.
Cavelli,
Yes.
Kraus,
Yes.
McAlpine.
Yes.
And I will entertain a motion to approve the December 19th, 2017 Committee of the Whole meeting minutes.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Betts,
Yes.
Costello,
Yes.
Cavelli,
Yes.
Kraus,
Yes.
McAlpine,
Yes.
Weinhammer.
Yes.
Thank you. Administrators report, Jacob.
Okay, Director Morimoto, if you could come up to the podium. We just have a couple quick updates here regarding advanced disposal. Eric's going to go over here before you. There's a couple media items here that we're going to be sending out, working with advanced disposal on a transition here of our refuse and recycling collection to Wednesdays. The first day for that transition is going to be February 7th. So Eric, if you could kind of give an overview of our media releases that we have here.
Sure. As part of our outreach in cooperation and coordination with Advanced Disposal, we're going to be issuing the notices to the public, basically to advertise ahead of time this change to Wednesdays for village-wide garbage collection. So the first item that will be released on Monday is the press release. I gave an advanced draft copy to the board to view, so if you have any feedback, please let us know. In addition, Advanced Disposal is going to be creating and issuing a postcard that will be delivered to the households for all the residential customers in the village of Cary. So this postcard will be sent, and it does highlight the same exact information in summary as the press release. And as we had stated during the approval process, Advanced Disposal will be providing that garbage and collection service for those Monday and Tuesday zones ahead of the February 7th changeover. So that way those two areas aren't going to be left with having excess waste buildup for more than a week. So they'll be free to drop off stuff on the regular day and also, again, if they need to, on that first Wednesday. So in addition to those two items, Advanced Disposal will be doing almost like a reverse, kind of a reverse call blast to their customers that have registered phone numbers with them, just with a short message reminding them of the transition point to February 7th on the collection. The village will be issuing a textcaster alert, as well as Cary News Weekly articles and updates on our website. Any other questions with regards to the schedule change?
I have, not the schedule change, but with regard to the bulk items.
Yes.
So is a couch considered a bulk item?
It's my understanding that it is, and what I'm going to do, and I've spoken with some of the management team over at Advanced Disposal, we'll be getting some more clarification to help upfront notice on our website the exact items that are included in bulk items.
Okay.
As far as I know, based on the current wording of the contract and our current practice, things that wouldn't be eligible for the bulk item pickup are construction debris and appliances. And I will get further clarification though on extra large furniture items as well.
Okay.
We just wanted to clarify if it's, a significant size couch of how they would handle that. Right now, yeah, we think the ability of a resident, just putting a bag on the couch, they'd be fine. But some of those final details, we're just working out with them.
And we are still having spring cleanup?
Yes, we will do some separate outreach with regards to the changes in the schedule for spring cleanup this year. So as we had talked about the last meetings, Advanced Disposal will be switching from spring cleanup in the springtime. Instead of doing it for a whole week on everybody's regular collection day, we'll be going to 2 separate Saturdays, one for one half the town, one for the other half. So we'll do similar outreach as this, but we wanted to separate the two just so we didn't get the two changes lost and confused together.
We hope that this free bulk item here, that residents will take advantage of it, and hopefully it reduces the amount of volume that's put out here for spring cleanup. Might actually allow Advanced Disposal to get through the town a little bit quicker, less items out at the curb too.
And the second item to update the board on is with regards to the current Christmas tree collection that is going on by Advanced Disposal. As you may have seen throughout town, they're a bit behind in certain areas of the village. So I've spoken with their management team, and they're actually going to be adding 3 additional trucks tomorrow just to do a sweep in order to pick up the backlog that's out there. And then they'll continue on the scheduled collections with additional trucks this Friday, and also the following Friday, which is also advertised on our website. So we do see a couple extra trees, or several trees out there, but Advanced Disposal is aware, and they are going to take care of them. Thank you.
Thanks, Eric.
Anything else, sir?
No.
Chief, do you have anything for us?
Just the item information, we are putting a new squad car on the road. It has a different graphic scheme. It's basically the negative image of what you have now. It's not, they're not black and white. We ordered them all black. That way it saves us between $500 and $700 on the initial purchase, and then they get transitioned to Public Works, and there's no need to do anything but maybe a little bit of body work when they get that for their use until they're retired way down the road. So if you see, it's going to be all black, and it'll have white lettering instead of having a black and white with black lettering.
Michael? No, sir. Brian, nothing? Is there any future agenda items in discussion by the village board?
I don't know if we need to discuss it, but I just wanted to request anytime any of us go to any meetings like the McCog meeting or anything that the village disperses money for or pays for us to go to, that we can come back and just kind of do a short recap and just let everybody know kind of what we took away from it.
Sure.
That was one reason why I had asked in the past about having a public comment or a trustee comment section
Okay, that makes
included in the agenda, but that has never been addressed or brought back up. I've asked several times.
I like that idea, Jeff.
I do too.
Would you like that to be Trustee Kraus to handle that, to be under discussion by the village board, where you'd have that opportunity? I don't have any issues if board members want to provide updates on various items.
Well, I think underneath the mayor's update, there could be a trustee update as part of the agenda. Or the mayor's report, then there could be a trustee report.
Any other feedback on that?
I like that. I think it's a great idea.
With
fine.
that, I'd also like to have the Park District, an update on the Park District.
Yeah, I have talked to the executive director on that, and he is open to coming here to Village Hall and provide an update here to trustees. I think trustee McAlpine had asked about that for other government agencies. And we'll work to get that scheduled here in early 2018.
What's your frequency? What are you looking for, like quarterly?
Quarterly or even monthly would be nice.
I don't know if they'll be able to
Quarterly, man.
commit to coming here monthly, but certainly I'll work with the executive director and see if we can get him as, the first government partner to come. And then we'll work on some of the other agencies too, if the village board is interested in that.
Yeah.
But I know trustee McAlpine had asked about that previously here, and we can work on that.
Great.
Anything else? Okay, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. We'll reconvene at 6:30.
Was that, was Jim?